Leah Kraft Kristaine on. She has done so many things in life, and she's not done yet, obviously. She's still here with us. Author. She's an international speaker, been on CNN, been on PBS, been on Everything in the Kitchen Sink. She's a practicing attorney, a house builder. The list goes on and on. And she does have a website. I would recommend you going on it. It is happytuneup.com. Again, happytuneup.com. And definitely check out the book, A 30 Days to Happiness. We're going to talk about that and many other things this time. And hopefully, if she comes back the next time, we'll tap into many more different things. But I will shut up and let her speak. Leah, thanks so much.
Well, thanks for inviting me, Rob. It's great to be here. It really is.
So let's
So,
kick.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. Let's kick it off with what?
All right, so Leah, let's kick it off and talk about, because there's so much death, destruction, negativity with all the political gobbledygook, with the wars everywhere, obviously inflation. The list goes on, and people are desperate. People are not happy. They're fighting with each other. There's you hate this person because they don't look like you, act like you. The list goes on and on. What is going on where people really aren't happy? They're really in disdain right now.
I think people do not realize the immense power they have. And this is not really in the lines of the book 30 Days to Happiness, but this is so important for everyone to hear. Every human being is an extraordinary battery. We're like a sending station. We're like a transmitter. And here's what our job is. And it's really hard to get there. I understand that. But here's what our job is. Our job is to wake up in the morning and find a way to eventually get to a point before you go to sleep where you say, I feel awesome. And because I feel this awesome, I am going to breathe into the rest of this planet the feelings of goodness that I have right now. Because every one of us is affecting every other one of us. And it feeds into the huge thought that's everywhere around us.
Yeah.
We see Gaza, we see all of these issues that are going on. We've got Ukraine, we've got political stuff. Each of us has to learn to feel better. And yeah, that is definitely about happiness. But we've got to lift up, even if we don't get to the state of happiness. Come on, let's come up to at least neutral. Because if we can't get to neutral, we get sick. I hate to say it that way, but our body hates it. Our body hates it when we hate. Our body hates it when we fear. Our body hates it when we worry. And every time we feel in those rough-edged places, we're damaging other people's thoughts too, because you can walk into a gas station with a big smile on your face saying, everything's okay. It's going to get better. Yes, there's things that are wrong, but it does improve. Then I'm going to do my part, my share in my little sphere of the world, my little cosmos. I am going to help people to lift up, whatever that means. If they're deep in a hole, just lift up a little bit more. If they're sitting at neutral, I want to bring them up higher. But I tell you what, every person that walks into a gas station to pay for their gas is affecting the people in that gas station. And no matter what you want to do, even if you put your head down and slink in, you're still affecting everybody. We affect each other. How do you want to affect? I have a teenage daughter and she tells me, Mom, when you're tense, I get tense. So I think that's true in every house. I think that's true
Right.
when you're close to anyone. But I think all of us have a responsibility to rise up to be the best we can possibly be in that day. It may not be happy. It may not be reaching that point, but that is at least what we should aspire to. And if you can have a day where you've got 50% of your time coming from neutral to edging toward happiness, that's a successful day.
Leah, I want to ask you this question because I think this is a big problem for men specifically. We talk about emotional intelligence and how that's huge in people's lives. but men are mostly pushed to, you know, be tough, don't be a little girl, and the negativity goes on. I'm not saying, men should be, well, I'm trying to teeter the line right now because we do have people, I don't want to offend people, but I will say it straight here. Men are men and woman are woman. Obviously, we are totally different beings, but what men are brought up to be mostly this tough guy mentality. I'm not saying that I'm against that or for that. I was brought up that way. I think I turned out pretty much fine. With that said, it is a problem though, because men don't know how to handle their emotions, where I think women, and you can disagree with this, I think women know how to handle their emotions better than men do.
I'm not sure that I would say that women know how to handle their emotions better, but I
Okay.
certainly would not equate emotional intelligence with softness. I would equate emotional intelligence with wisdom. Wisdom. And isn't that an amazingly attractive quality in both men and women?
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom. That's what we're looking for today more than anything else. But what emotional intelligence is more than anything, when you get to the hardest part of it, is learning how to control or focus or direct or guide your thoughts, not your emotions. Your emotions follow your thoughts. So if I intentionally think a thought that is, it's going to get better. I know that we're going to come out on the other side of this. I know that there's daylight somewhere on the other side of this issue. If we can have a thought that we absolutely push ourselves to think, the emotions follow along with that. We do have to start believing it, but anything, as you may have heard said, any statement repeated often enough becomes something you believe.
Right.
So why not repeat something that says, I feel better every day. Every day I'm making better choices about what I think. Every day I'm feeling a little bit better. Every day I'm spending a couple more minutes each day feeling good instead of feeling bad. Anything that is progress, any tiny progress, that's what we're looking for. And I'm speaking from experience. The reason I write about emotional intelligence and happiness and
Right.
helping ourselves to get to a place of feeling good is, of course, happiness is its own reward. But I was a person who could not figure out how I was getting back in the trash can and putting the lid on it. But I was, and I didn't know what I was doing to make that happen. I would get into depression at the drop of a hat. It was like being at the bottom of the old-fashioned cesspools, the septic tank, where the sides are greased and you know what they're greased with, and you're
Right.
trying to climb your way back up. You don't remember getting to the bottom. It's only when you get to the bottom you notice you're at the bottom because you don't want to do anything or talk or see anybody or go out or anything at all. That is a waste. It's such a waste. But I spent a lot of time there. And it was only truly when my mom died, I was in my 20s, never thought I would lose her. She was such an amazing woman and my best friend. She listened to all the stuff I was doing. Anyway, but when she was gone, I said to myself, hey, you know what? I might not have 85 years to figure out how to be happy. I think I better start figuring it out
Right.
now.
But there's a lot of people that physically abused, verbally abused,
Oh, yeah.
men, woman, doesn't matter. How do you get to somebody like that? I mean, I know you said you keep saying it and you believe it. We hear these things on TV. They're said 100 million times, and then you believe this. You think about it. You've heard this statement many times. Me personally, I was brought up in the Hard Knocks Italian family. There was a lot of swearing. There's verbal abuse,
Yeah.
regardless of that. I
Yeah.
can't really comprehend of changing these words that I was told many times. And we can't say these on radio, we can't say these on YouTube, but it's basically in a nice way, suck it up, don't be a little girl,
Yeah.
grow up, you know,
Yeah.
and it's hard to reverse that. it's hard to even start that process. So, for somebody like me, and there's many people like me around the country that have heard these statements by their family members, their friends, their teachers, the list goes on and on. How do you get to somebody like that?
I want you to imagine that you and everyone else who has been through what was essentially trauma
Right.
has a best friend. I want you to imagine a best friend who adores you, who thinks you couldn't do no wrong, who just thinks you are going to hit the sky because you are so good and in that going in that direction. To even ask yourself, what would my good friend say to me? What
Mhm.
would my good friend say to me? What we end up saying to ourselves is what hurts us the most, because what we end up doing is parroting the most horrendous things we heard as kids or even as grown-ups, especially people who are in an abusive relationship as adults. And what happens to those people is they get brainwashed by it, and then they don't have they don't have the strength, they don't have the vision to see themselves getting out of that situation. That what I would love for everybody who is in a situation where you are really hurting from some past garbage is to try this. And this is a really important thing, because you can't imagine the impact it has until you actually try it. You tonight go into your own bathroom, close the door, if you can have a soft light on, that's better than the full blast bright light.
Yeah.
And you look at yourself in the mirror, eye to eye, eye to eye, and you say, I am a good person. I am a worthy person. I deserve the best in life. I deserve to have good people around me and good things happening to me. And then you say it in the you word. Rob, Liah, you are innocent. You are a good person. You deserve the best in life. You are worthy of having a wonderful relationship, a wonderful job. You are worthy of an inflooding of prosperity and abundance on a continuous level. When you talk to yourself eye to eye, especially, I have seen people break down just looking in the mirror and saying, I am innocent, or I am good. It feels so counter to the garbage that they may have been fed from many sources. If you were a sculptor and someone gave you this raw material to work with, how would you want to sculpt you? This is your job. This is your opportunity. This is you being given the chance to say, what do I want to do for myself? How can I help myself to feel better on a continuous basis? And when am I going to give myself permission to do that? How much more do I have to whip myself? How many more weeks, months, or years do I have to make myself feel bad? Am I ready to quit? Am I ready to quit doing this to myself or not yet? Go ahead. How much longer? Go ahead. Set a date, though. Maybe it's June 9th, 2032, but just set an endpoint, please.
Right. No, yeah, it has to be done. I mean, I've been working with myself on a lot of these things that you're speaking about too,
Oh,
Liah.
yeah.
And it is important because we're all going through this. The problem is, I think a lot of people, men and women alike, hold this deep down inside of them. They're afraid to talk about this to a family member, a friend, and even a therapist in general.
Yeah.
And I know we can get into that in just a moment, but regardless of that, you have to get this out because, like you said, we only have a short time on this earth, and you
Yeah.
should want to be happy during that short time you're on the earth and try to get as much done as
Yeah.
you want. I know you want to interject, so go ahead,
Even if you don't want to be happy, that's okay. But at least give yourself permission to feel better.
Right.
People will make fun of that. I mean, it's a strange term to use. It sounds like grade school. Make fun of being happy, but just feeling better. Because if we aren't feeling better, how are we going to encourage a friend? If
Right.
we're not feeling better, how can we be there to assist anybody when they're sick or when they need anything? It's impossible. We've
Well, as
got
you
to,
said earlier, just to interject quick, if you
yeah,
said earlier, you said this earlier that we're going to make ourselves sick. You're
yeah,
talking about a shorter lifespan due to all the
absolutely.
negativity that maybe someone's putting on you, and then you're reciprocating it with someone else or with many other people. And it's just going down inside of you. It's cranking up your cortisol. You have
Exactly.
anxiety, you have depression, you have the list goes on, which
Yeah.
could lead to even a bigger problem as far as a shorter lifespan. But anyways, I'll
Absolutely.
let you keep going.
And you interject anytime, Rob. You can tell from me that I love interjecting, so it's okay.
Yeah, you're
But,
fine.
but I think that if we are just able to take it step by step and see how much better, see if we can feel a little bit better. We know from the studies that are done, the people that live the longest spend time with their friends. They also will tell us people that volunteer to help others live an extra 5 to 7 years. And why? Because they discover that when they're doing something to help somebody, all of a sudden they have forgotten their own stuff. It's still there, but
Sure.
for a period of time, maybe hours, they've given their body a break. They've given their mind a break. They've immersed themselves in something else, and it feels fabulous. You wouldn't say happy, you would just say relief. Thank God. Some relief from all this pain I inflict on myself. And I'll tell you, working with a mirror is so safe. When you say you don't want to share some of these things with a therapist, absolutely. People
Right.
don't want to share it with anybody. They want to be strong, of course, but we've got to spend those moments with ourselves alone. If we need to cry it out, if you need to cry for 3 hours one night and 2 hours and 59 minutes the next night, do it because it is washing out the garbage. It's washing it out. It's getting rid of it. Because all of us, again, we're here to be powerful. We're here to be powerful for ourselves. And when we are feeling sad or bad or depressed or fearful or anything that is unlike outrageous excitement, anything unlike hope, anything unlike seeing the future in positive terms, we've narrowed down the channel of ourselves. Energy flows through us. When we have fear, anxiety, depression, we narrow the flow of energy through our bodies. We are all energy. By the way, I'm sure you know this, so I don't need to tell you, but remember 20 some years ago when microscopes were able to look inside the cells, inside the inside of the cell, and they found out that there are little quarks and other things inside the cell, but where is the stuff? Where's the matter? Where's the form? Where's the stuff I think we all are made of? No, no, no. Everything we've been able to see so far points to the fact that every one of us is simply electrical and electricity.
Yeah.
We just happen to see each other. Well, if that's so, and if fear and worry and anxiety shuts us down so that there's only a little flow of energy coming through, this mechanism can shut down. But if we say, I'm going to dare to feel good, I'm going to dare to help somebody today, I'm going to dare to reach out, I'm going to dare to dream a little bigger than I've been dreaming, I'm going to dare to remember what I was dreaming about as a kid.
Yeah.
When you do that, your energy starts going, what, what, what? And pretty soon you got this flood of energy rushing through you. And Rob, I'm a very practical person. If somebody wants to build a house, they got to get that energy going. I teach people how
Yeah.
to build houses, taking this energy and putting it into something really practical, starting a business, seeing options. When we get shut down by fear and worry, we don't even see the first option that might save us. And that's the truth because our brains shut down. We have two sides, two hemispheres of the brain. The creative side gets totally shut down when we are stressed. In fact, there was an estimate that Americans use their creative side of their brain about 1.5% of the time. How do we find answers to problems? And that's because we're a caffeine society. We get
Yeah.
too stressed out. Let us all take about 5 slow, deep breaths and just say, I'm going to get back in control right now. I am going to feel better right now. Stop the music. I'm going to get myself easy, comfortable. I'm going to get myself into a position where I feel like I can make a choice instead of being led by the nose, by the news, by everything else that's going on. I choose to center. I choose to get my tripod down underneath me.
Yeah. You know, I'll tell you, it's just really amazing how you put all this together. And I know we're not going to have enough time on this show, but I do want to start if we could, because I know we don't go in a straight line here. We kind of jump around and we do a little bit of editing. Everybody knows that in general, that's listened into past conversations. But again, for people listening, it's Liah, Kraft, Kristaine here on Fire Breathing Rob. You can definitely get the more information about her, the website. It's at happytuneup.com. And she's written so many books that I can't even keep track. But
Well,
we'll go into that toward the we'll go into that toward the end. But I do want to kind of end on this because I want to have you back on and I do want to have you tell your whole story kind of from start to finish and how all this stuff started. Then we kind of went into a different direction to stop, but that's okay. We can play around with this. But let's end with this. So when we go towards, we've talked about a lot about, people and emotional intelligence and all the crazy stuff going on in our society and how ways for them to improve themselves, I should say. How do we get to a place? So maybe I should even ask you this question instead of you just saying an answer. How did you get to this place where it seems like you're very calm, cool, and collected? Obviously, everybody has moments where they're not. It's, we're
yes.
human, it's life, but you do seem very calm, cool, and collected. So, as we come to a close, if you could tell people a little bit about how they can get it. I mean, we talked about deep breathing and, talking in the mirror. Obviously, those are good points, but give us a little bit more about you and how you've become this way.
Well, I became this way by honestly a little voice talking in my ear and saying, Liah, get a grip, get a grip. You know these things. Start with, do you have a roof over your head? Yes, I have a roof over my head. I wrote a book that was my 5th book, and it's called 30 Days to Happiness. And I was fed that book. And as I wrote that book, I started feeling better. Not completely. I had to go through that book 4 times. Each day, it's just short reading, short, because when you're feeling bad, you cannot read a 20-page chapter. It's a 4-page chapter and they're short.
Oh, wow.
And then there's something to do, but I needed to do something with each new thought. And the first thought is, you got to start recognizing when you turn and go in the wrong direction. In other words, you could call it a bad thought, a negative thought, a hurtful thought, a negative memory of anything that feels bad to you. And I want you to drop it like a hot pan. Imagine you just grabbed a pan off your stove, didn't remember it was hot, and you drop it. You drop it. The first thing we have to do is start noticing our thoughts. And our thoughts are very tricky in the beginning to notice what our thoughts are. One of the ways you can help yourself is to say this question: what am I telling myself about myself right now that doesn't feel very good? Second question: what am I telling myself about other people right now that doesn't feel so good? Third question: what am I telling myself about life, life in general? that doesn't feel very good. I don't care if it's the truth. People say, oh, be realistic. No, if you are realistic, you are being pessimistic. I am saying that we do have enough wisdom to have hope for the future. So those three questions, because those are the three biggest beliefs we carry around, a big bag of beliefs about ourselves, about other people, and about life in general. We carry that around. Start there, because if you can stop a thought and turn it in the other direction, it's going to be okay. I am feeling better today. I do have the energy. Gee, I have more energy than I had yesterday. It helps. Starting with your mind, it's positive thinking. Yes, it is. It's a mindset. Yes, it is. It ends up affecting your white blood cells and your red blood cells and everything in your body. But it's a very important thing to do. And so starting with that, but let me tell you, if you are really in a state of tension, upset, anger, worry, do something physical, because you're not going to be able to look at your thoughts until you do something like go outside and walk or run or get on a mini trampoline and bounce up and down for 200 times. Shake it out. Shake out the stress physically. Then you can come back into your right mind and think more clearly. So those two things have to go hand in hand. It's hard. You can't go from seething anger at the TV or the radio to saying, oh, I want to be wise now. What is a wise thought I can choose? No, you have to have something in the middle. And sometimes the middle takes a bit of time and practice, but it is practice. Oh, my Lord. The only thing that got me here was practice. I don't think I would be alive today if I hadn't learned these things. And that is the truth. I wouldn't be.
Leah, I want to end on this. I know you do have a course, and I do want to do another full-blown interview just kind of about that. But if you could just kind of give the audience a little bit of a tidbit of information about what goes on in that course, and obviously, if they're listening and they want to find more about you, how they can get involved in that.
Yes. I mean, if nothing else, I say just go check out the book 30 Days to Happiness. But I have created a whole program with 30 videos that get to you daily. And in those videos, it's like focusing on one piece that I've talked about and really going in depth, working with it one day at a time, because it's a 30-day program delivered. And so, just like what I've been talking about, how do you recognize a negative thought? You don't automatically recognize that you're starting to feel bad if you've done it so much over a course of years or months or hours in a day. It takes more practice feeling better before you start noticing, oh, my God, is that what I'm telling myself? Oh, for Pete's sake, let's change that around. No, I remember when we said, oh, for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
So, but I know that just a step by step, when you have even a virtual coach, even someone who is like, sometimes all people need is to talk to their therapist for 4 minutes. You say, oh, thanks. I just needed a direction to go in. Goodbye. And that's what it is. You work with it, you read some things, you work with a little workbook if you want to, but you also go back and listen, and you have this as a lifetime thing forever. You have access always. But everybody needs reminders, no matter what you've learned and how good you are at being wise. If you get a telephone call that knocks you out of your orbit, you've got to remember how to get back in your orbit. And that's the truth. And so getting these skills and practicing them on the day the sky is blue and it's a perfect 72 degrees,
Mhm.
when you practice it on those days, it's going to be better for those days when you get the sideways rain and the winds 75 miles an hour. So, but everybody has to practice it. It takes practice. And I caught myself today and I said, Leah, what are you doing? You just let yourself go over the bandwidth that you need to be doing. And just also remember, every time we let ourselves get out of orbit with anger or fear, we are wasting energy. So we end up more tired at the end of the day. We wake up more tired. Have a day where you say, I'm going to take a break from reacting to anything. with those kinds of feelings. No yelling at the radio or TV, no anger, no upset, no worry, nothing. I'm going to pretend for a day. Just even say this, I'm going to be brain dead for a day. Brain dead is much better. I'm saying this facetiously. I am not going to insult anybody, but it is much better to be in neutral than it is to even spend 15 minutes in seething anger. Neutral, neutral. Just try to stay there for a 24-hour period and see how much more energetic you feel physically. It's astounding.
Well, listen, I need to listen to your advice. And it's been a long road for me. I know a lot of people listening, it's been a long road for them, but we will definitely continue this conversation. I do hope people go to happytuneup.com to learn more about you, the course, and the book. They can get the book on Amazon and wherever books are sold, Barnes and Nobles, the local bookstore, the list goes on and on. Liah, Kraft, Kristaine here on Fire Breathing Rob. Liah, we're definitely going to have you on the program again. When I
I'd love it.
hopefully got a little bit better, and I apologize, people that are watching this. I'm pretty exhausted. I've been up since 4 a.m. We're taping this at 8 o'clock at night. So I
Oh,
am low energy Rob tonight, unfortunately, but we will kick up the
oh, but
energy
you're coming
next time.
across as wisdom, Rob. You're coming across as a wise person.
Well, we're trying, we're trying. But Liah, I always am, happy that we get to have a conversation. And I look forward to having you on again because there's a lot you can really bring to not only myself, but the many people listening around the country in general. So Liah, thanks so much. Anything you want to leave the listeners with before we cut loose today?
Well, I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to speak my experience and my truth about lifting up. It doesn't matter how much you lift up, just a little bit is okay. And try to do better the next day. But if you don't, do not say a word of negativity to yourself.
Liah, thanks so much for the conversation, Ted. And again, I look forward to our next conversation.
And likewise, I do too, Rob. Thank you so much.